All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. I'm very excited for a couple of reasons because I don't know what Lewis is going to be presenting today. And of course, we are joined by him. But before we give him the floor, another reason I'm also excited is because, as I said to him before we started recording, because I am in a European time zone. For once, I could actually say good morning to him. Usually it's a, 7, 9, 10 hour time difference. So I want to thank you so much, Lewis, for coming on as per usual. And the floor is yours with regards to what you have to present for us today. Very much looking forward to it.
Thank you, man. Nice to see you. So today we have another film. This is the Croods, a less known film, but we're going to cover it nonetheless. Can you hear me all right? See the screen, all that jazz, yeah?
Can hear you, can't see the screen.
Bear me 1 second.
No problem.
Might help if I share it. That might help.
There we go.
How's that looking?
There we go. Now we see it. Yes, perfect. Perfect.
Thank you. There we go. Sorry about that.
No worries.
There we go. So today we'll be analysing a lesser-known film, The Croods. The Croods is a film based on the self and of Plato's allegory of the cave. The word crude means disgusting, and this is subliminally implanted within the film, and the idea that people who don't follow the rules set by the quote-unquote elite are disgusting, meaning the people who look beyond society, beyond the cave walls, and beyond the normal. I'm sure by now that everyone has watched all or a few of my presentations, has now picked up on the common themes that I've presented. And this is because for this year, I've wanted to completely tackle the motif that is the hero's journey. I think the hero's journey is one of the most important things that you can actually do with your life. And I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of its importance and how to utilize it completely in your own life. As Brandon pointed out to me some weeks ago, so thanks to Brandon, it was discovered, or rather claimed by the Greeks, that there are only 36 storylines that can ever be written about. So I thought for this year, I'd like to tackle just one storyline and cover every single aspect within it. Now, before you click off, this will be the last time that I will include a film where characters correspond with mind, body, and soul, because I've covered it way too much. I don't want to keep droning on and on. But it's interesting that these archetypes just keep coming up in several films, and they all have certain characteristics as well. We have two main characters, sorry, in the film, which is Eep and Grug. Eep is the ginger one on the left, and Grug is the dad on the top right. Um, Eep is young. She's new. She yearns for adventure, discovery, and progression, and has different ways of seeing the world. She can be viewed as the soul. Grug, who is the father figure, authority, old habits, routines, old perspectives, and comfort. He is the body, as he desires comfort, security, and the fact that his main attribute and thing that is highlighted within the film is his physical dominating strength. Mainly, though, I do see him as the ego, and we'll explore why, obviously. Lastly, we have Guy. That's just his name, Guy. Who, due to being alone, has garnered perspectives and philosophies that has allowed him to transcend that of the cave and the old ways of doing things, and I see him as the mind. Again, this will hopefully be the last time I cover those three specific allegories. Within the first few seconds of the loading animate, I can't think what it's called, but the loading screen of the film, you see a flame torch and a cave with paintings on the wall, showing us all the telltale signs of Plato's allegory. We have an image given to the viewer, we have a light, and then we have a shadow. Just making sure you can see that. And
Yeah.
then obviously we have DreamWorks as well, and we've briefly speak about DreamWorks, how the guy's fishing for souls, and there's that
Right. Right.
uh,
Right. Right.
aspect to it. So at the start of the film, Eep, the ginger haired girl, says, "Every sun comes a new day, a new beginning. I hope that things will improve on yesterday." Except they live in a cave all the time and very rarely explore out, speaking to how they don't go beyond what is told is true and told what is right. Occasionally, they will branch out and explore new concepts represented by them going outside of the cave. When they did and do go outside, they are presented with a hostile world in which they struggle for food. Outside the cave isn't always filled with rainbows and sunshine. There are parts where there are great hostility and challenges to face, but there'll always be challenges in order to grow. You want bigger muscles, you have to train harder than last time. You want a better relationship, you'll have to sacrifice something, perhaps sex or other people. You want to expand your consciousness, you're going to have to work for it. Even when using psychedelics, you aren't granted anything for free. As I know Brandon and I'm sure Dave and others can attest to, there are levels that you can go to that require your consent, that require a willingness to suffer to then discover even more. So they followed the rules, the ones painted on the cave walls, i.e., the ones society and the rulers, quote unquote, tell you: news, propaganda, brainwashing, manipulation, lies, etc. So, what are the rules that they state on the cave walls? Anything new is bad, curiosity is bad, and going out at night is bad. Doing all this allows you to stay safe and stay comfortable, yes, but it also stops the positives of change. Change is growth, change is expansion, and if we wish to expand our reality, we must go through the beautiful and arduous process of transformation. Like the butterfly, like the snake, we must shed our old selves in exchange to become our new and improved selves. She then says, "Our world was about to come to an end. There was no rules on our cave walls that could prepare us for that." And why are there no rules on the cave walls? Because it isn't conducive to our mental and physical enslavement to then guide us on how to combat the world. They don't want us looking outside the cave. Outside the cave, they have no control. They have no pictures that can manipulate you by telling you what is going on. In the search for truth, our truth, we must look outside of the cave, outside of the parts of us that were programmed, as opposed to knowing internally firsthand. We have been programmed, and being programmed is not always a bad thing. It just depends on whom is doing it and why. We have been programmed to remain inside the cave, however, where we have routine, comfort, and security. In other words, peace of mind. But peace, in my opinion, is something that must be earned by being aware of its opposite, chaos. When you are given something from birth, it's all you've ever known. And with repeated exposure to something, our perception of it, of its value, decreases. And with its decrease, we become susceptible to taking things for granted. As the saying goes, you never know what you have until it's gone. The inverse, the opposite of what you want, is the very thing that gives importance, gratitude towards the very things that we desire. As you will see throughout life, lack makes us desire, and abundance makes us undervalue the things we have. It's important to be grateful, irregardless of what you have or don't have, because at some point in your life, you wanted the things that you have right now. You swore, you were certain that you would be happy if you got that one thing. But look at you now, still wanting, still unhappy, still desiring things you don't have, in
Right.
hope, in hopes that it will make you feel the way you really want to feel. I'm
If
not
I
having a go at you. Go on, go on.
Sorry, if I could jump in quickly, Lewis, I just want to say this is fantastic because this speaks to not only the nature of life itself, and of course, to the physics of things and all of that, but the idea that living in the present when one has something and then valuing that one thing And then when that one experience or event or object or whatever it is that you're enjoying has come to its expiry date or conclusion, from there working towards then the next thing that you would want, but in a balanced manner, seems to be the best type of approach. Instead of, okay, I've attained this, let me put it to the side, let me not be grateful for it, let me not enjoy it, and therefore not live in the present, and let me continue to not live in the moment, if you will, in a regard of just constantly trying to push for the next thing, because you're at that point, you're just living in the moment of living for the next thing, so the next thing will never be enough. So it's
Absolutely.
beautifully
Yeah.
put. Thank you. Yeah.
It's like I always see it, and I see it in person sometimes as well. And I'm sure I remember doing it as a little kid. It's that thing of being a kid and saying, "Oh my God, mommy, I want that toy. Mommy, I want that toy. Mommy, I want that toy. I'll do
Right.
anything to get that toy." And then when you get the toy, you play for it for 2 days and whatever
Well, if
because
I
you've
could
got
say
it.
to that, completely agree to that point, that it speaks to even something that I've spoken about probably, I think, like just under a year ago or just over, the idea that, for example, when people are in line at, the Apple store for the new iPhone or whatever it is, the being in the lineup and the journey of it itself is more exciting and thrilling, many would argue, than when actually getting the phone. And in a certain way, once they get the phone, it becomes to a degree underwhelming, because you've built up this idea in your head, and now that you have it, you're like, oh, that's it, kind of. And I know maybe that's an over exaggeration, or maybe it's not for some, whether it's a game system, a laptop or a phone or something, a purse or a car or something like that, because then you've built up this esoteric idea in your mind of what it's going to be and what you can do with it. But then for some reason, the matching of when it comes into the physical is not as satisfactory as the vision you had. So it starts to,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
something really interesting about the thought of something and then the materialization. So you can think about, like, let's say, I don't know, a telly, a new gaming controller, a new phone, whatever. But when you actually you have it, you see it for what it is and not what you were hoping to be once you have it. And it's important that we try and do that before we get the thing, if that makes sense, so that we're not underwhelmed and we're not
I,
disheartened
I I
by
find, to
the
your point,
journey.
right, actually I agree completely to your point. I find that when I try and take that type of approach, and whether it's, for example, you say to someone, let's go, whether it's, to your girlfriend or boyfriend or what, husband, wife, honey, darling, let's go for, let's go watch a movie or something like that. In many cases, the enjoyment of the actual energy of the other people you're doing it with is far more significant than the external material thing you're going to do. In my opinion, the external material thing, for example, in this case, the activity of going to see a movie with your husband or wife or girlfriend, boyfriend, that is just the physical pillar in terms of your something from nothing that you then do to get out of the house. But the value is ultimately to be with that person or that experience or what have you. So I completely agree with you.
Yes, who you with, not what you're doing.
Right, right. And even if you're by yourself, it's the interaction of you with the environment. So
It's
my
with
friends,
were you with
yeah,
yourself though? That's the thing. So you're never alone because you're with yourself.
exactly, exactly, very exactly.
Yeah.
So beautifully put.
Thank you, man. Here we go. And I'm not having a go, believe you me. I'm still learning. I'm still learning this myself, and I do have issues with this firsthand. Some days, all I do is dream and imagine what it'd be like to have this fast car and travel the world and have more money than I can spend. But then I come out of the trance and come back to the realization that I already have everything that I need. It's not, it is not the things that I desire. It is the feeling that I attach to the things that I say I want. Let me say that again. It is not the things I desire, just like it's not the things that you desire. It is the feeling that we attach to the things that we say that we want. And just like you, again, I do struggle with this, and it is a ongoing process of reaffirming what is true in order to then feel how we desire to feel. Again, before we get to the next slide, I'm not going to be covering the chakras in any great detail. This is just a quick observation. 7 chakras, 7 characters. It's funny again how they line up. Continuing the storyline, every fam every family member, sorry, which is everyone excluding the sloth and the young character that is Guy, because we don't see them until later on, then attempts to get breakfast in the form of a large egg by escaping the cave, in which they use different sides of themselves, perhaps. The baby is fast and animalistic. The old lady uses a stick. The dad is strong, etc., etc. Speaking to how, again, if we wish to attain what we want, we've got to use all sides of ourselves. Again, keeps coming up, keeps coming up. As they obtain the egg and drink the yolk from the egg, not everyone gets what they want. There is only so much within. Speaking to how the external fruits you crave have only so much potential and sustenance. Their ability to fill and fulfill you, i.e., fully fill, or in other words, complete you, will one day run out. The external has its limitations to how much it can fulfill you. When they re-enter the cave after the getting the egg and having breakfast, the dad says darkness brings death. And we can garner that to him, darkness is the unknown and the shadow parts of the world and that of ourselves. It is the danger because it is unknown. But so long as it is unknown, it will stay unknown and it will always be dangerous. We then see Eep climbing the cave walls, the bottom picture on the bottom right. After living in the abyss for so long, you'll realize that beyond the darkness lies the light, the truth, the sun, the alchemical gold, as it were, and you have to climb to get there. When darkness engulfs her surroundings, she hears a noise and goes exploring, and this is because she's a soul, always wanting to stay away from the cave, and knows the cave is filled with stagnancy and lack of room for growth. As she goes exploring, a beast spots the dad called Grug, and then is about to attack. This beast in particular, we can also liken to an owl, and we'll see a picture on the next slide, so don't worry. Connected to an owl, a being that is connected to magic and can be seen as an evil creature in some instances, due to it being one of the symbols for Moloch, the god of child sacrifice. This is why we see the owl in Bohemian Grove, although I won't be going too deep into that today. The dark forces who believe they control this world share commonalities with the bird, in that they believe they can see us whilst their prey, us, cannot see them.
If I could mention very quickly as well, the Owl of Minerva, something for those that are not familiar with called the Owl of Minerva.
Yeah.
Minerva has been a long time ontological and philosophical sort of ongoing discussion amongst prominent thinkers stemming all the way back to the Roman times. And it's been found that those type of formulations having to do with the owl and all of that seems to stem directly to merging a physics and metaphysics approach. Now, as to what type of approach that merges is a different discussion, but I just wanted to bring that up as well. This is fantastic.
Thank you, man. So the owls can see their prey from above, and its prey cannot see it, meaning they see us and they view us as blind to the truth. They also believe that they are above us and that we are in the dark. This is why the beast is illuminated both in its surroundings and in its eyes, as you can see. They see themselves as the enlightened ones and see us in the dark, in the caves. Now, they want us to remain in the dark, or in other words, within the confines of the caves that they have designed for us. These beasts, these are put there by design. They are beings of fear that attempt to subvert us and chase us back into the caves, back into fear and darkness, so that we don't transcend the darkness and come out into the light. Because in the light, we can clearly see the owl for what it is. It can't hunt under the cover of darkness. It transforms from the covert to the overt, and as such, it loses its power. Remember, shining the light on shadows removes them. And this is, of course, we can extrapolate this out to, our government. always working in the dark, and that's why most people can't see it. Because if they did what, Hitler does, Stalin does, empires fall that way. So that's why everything is subversive. We can also see the owl symbology covered in many places around the world, such as the $1 bill. It's not a very good picture, but check when you've got a dollar. Commerce Square and Frost Bank, which are both buildings that work with finances, i.e. the things that most would argue keep us enslaved.
That entire building literally looks like an owl.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Both of them, yeah.
yeah.
After the narrow escape from the beast, the dad pales Eep with a lot of questions. What were you doing up there? What were you looking for? Why did you go up there? Why don't you know? He's always confused about exploration, and he says, fear keeps us alive. Never not be afraid. Again, it is fear that keeps them within the cave trapped. Eep then asks, in my opinion, the proper questions. What is the point in all this? Why are we here? What are we doing this for? And this is perhaps the first step, or one of the first steps, because the spark must be there, that willingness for illumination and doing it away with stagnancy. To grow is to change, to stay is to remain. The rest of the family then moans at Eep, showing us society's judgment and small-mindedness for those wishing to explore outside the cave and think for themselves about things that are different from the pictures given to them within the cave. Crood says, no one said survival was fun, speaking to how they view life. We aren't living life, we are merely surviving. He then says, would you come down from there? As Eep is in a elevated state. It's not a very good picture, but you see round about there, I think. You can see her, she's up on a little ledge.
Yeah, I see. Yep.
This,
Yep.
yeah, awesome. Symbolized by her being higher than him and the rest of the family and desiring more than the base lower consciousness. Base is, of course, again, the lowest point. She's also turning her back, or in other words, ignoring what she's being told, which is a lesson to shut off the news and ignore all the fear that they keep pushing out to keep you huddled together within the walls of the cave, afraid to go outside. If she wants to survive, she has to live by our rules. And he's right. If she wants to survive and only survive, then all she needs to do is listen to his rules. But remember, they're not even his rules. They are the rules of the cave, and society has been given these rules.
Can I just say
They
very
grew
quickly, this is literally how the science community works, most of the mainstream community. It's follow the advice that's been, not the advice, follow the models that have been given to you by literally one or two institutions, and that's it. So whether it's engineering or physics, so thank you for, that can be applied everywhere. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It's do what you're told. That's it, innit? Do what you're told. Pardon me. What was I saying? Society has been given these rules. They grow up with them, and because everyone is anxious, not abundant, and in survival mode, they see this as the only way of surviving and doing what they have always done, follow the rules of the cave. But how about you, listening right now? Is that working for you? Are you happy, or are you simply surviving? Or do you want to thrive? Do you want abundance in your life? And not just abundance of money, but abundance of everything. When you follow the rules of the cave, you simply survive. So the question then becomes, do you want to survive or do you want to thrive? Everything we need is simultaneously out there and within. Again, it's the paradox of life. Out there is food, energy, electricity, money, different countries, etc. And it's all right for the taking. There is more than enough for everyone, and yet the cave is filled with messages of lack. He then shows Eep a disheveled toy, says, look, your old favorite, speaking to how our old patterns, behaviors, and ways of thinking, The dad is attempting to draw Eep back in by reminding her the benefits of being asleep. They then tell stories, but stories are just that, stories. They aren't the real thing, and they're a substitute for real growth, which lies out there, which lies in experience. You have to travel, face adversity, and battle the very real things that lie in the shadows. Hiding, simply telling stories in the dark, simply isn't good enough anymore. Notice how the cave is full of images and drawings, but the spot that each chooses to look at is blank. She doesn't listen to the news or the lies on the cave walls. She's aware of what that kind of life brings. She's uncontent with just survival. A quote from the story goes, the story that dad is saying, sorry. She lived her life in routine and darkness and terror, again, simply surviving. The rat race, the routine, the 9 to 5, the wake up, travel work, travel home, watch TV, go to bed. That cycle continues. However, it is comfortable, and comfort is one of the most alluring intoxicants. The dad then tells the family how she had one huge problem, which was curiosity. As the bear, acting on her curiosity, she went to climb to the top of this tree. The top of the tree is, of course, analogous to, let's say, a hierarchy, with the best you being at the top and the worst relative, of course, being at the bottom. He is making his children fear curiosity in anything that is new. But this isn't done insidiously. It is done through kindness. Remember, this is an example of generational and societal trauma. Every time they went beyond the cave, they saw danger. So they were told that outside the cave is dangerous. But the question that they never seem to think about is what lies beyond the danger. What lies beyond and after you've conquered those demons? The darkest is always darkest before the dawn, but most never reach the furthest reaches of the abyss. They then all huggle to sleep. They are literally lying together in ignorance, but they're also lying to each other, as in not telling the truth. We can liken this sort of to the coming together to make one unit, everyone the same, which of course in a loving society is great, oneness, right? But in a tyranny is bad, dehumanization, everyone's a number, everyone's the same. Waking Eep from her sleep, she is attracted by the glistening light beyond the cave. We of course know what this light represents. To leave the cave, it is necessary to remove any boundaries or obstacles that lie in your way. And so she does just that. She removes a boulder and begins chasing the light, which we will soon find out is fire. Now, why fire? Well, because what do we say? We have a burning desire to do something. The fire represents the passion that lies within us to escape the cave, to become enlightened by the flame, and to follow our passions. Again, as she leaves the cave, it is all fine and dandy. She finds her path blocked by more obstacles, and she has a choice. Go back to what's easy and what's comfortable, or follow that burning desire. She chooses the latter and makes her way around the obstacles that stand in between her and the things she says she wants. This is just a little clip that I've screenshotted. Yeah, again, things stand in a way, as we can see. It's perfect and analogous film. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's not easy for her to get there.
No. And she's scared at the start as well to leave, which I'm sure is something that we've all struggled with. She finally finds the fire that she's been after, and alongside it meets Guy, who tells her that the world is ending and the only way that she can survive is to reach the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain is the highest peak, the highest path, and the greatest. He then tells her how he hates the dark, which is why he controls the fire. He is perhaps the illuminated one. He doesn't want to be in the dark, i.e., unconscious about things, and this is why he doesn't want to go inside of any caves. The family then destroy the shell that Guy gave her, symbolizing the connection to your higher self, which is perhaps the pineal gland. Society and the unawake, let's call them, will try to destroy your connection to that higher self because they fear it. It is new and unknown, which, as we see in the film, is the scariest thing out there for the rest of the family. The pine cone as the above, i.e., the land, and the seashell is below, i.e., the sea, as above, so below. As they damage the shell, she is frustrated, and the ground then begins to shake, and the rocks around her begin to crumble. Now I've just wrote a little excerpt from, let's call it, a project I'm working on. So here we go. When you study it, you will see that the family are all happy and safe within the cave. They stay there willingly because it provides security. They know how to stay safe. When Eep, the young curious teenager, finally leaves the cave with her family, the whole construct breaks down. That that mental security blanket that provided stability has now gone, and what was left is freedom. They viewed freedom as chaos because chaos is unpredictable. There is no regime in freedom. You may picture the father as the ego, the part of you that, among other things, yearns for predictability and security. Ape is the soul in you that yearns for more beyond the constraints of the cave. Within Plato's cave, you are stuck. There is no high or low, no fluctuation, no up or down. There is only plateau. The reason the cave and everything surrounding the cave has collapsed is because when you leave the cave, truly leave it, when you wake up to the matrix and the real world, you can't go back. You may lie to yourself and find a different cave for a while, something with comfort and stability, but nevertheless, you will know in your heart it's a lie, a fabrication. What do children do if they think a monster is going to hurt them? They hide under the sheets. They put a security blanket up that protects them so they don't have to look at their monster. They might think that if they can't see the monster, it isn't there. The moment that Eep saw the light, the moment she truly escaped the cave and discovered the other world, everything broke down. The ego, the father figure, aka the protector, then takes control and demands that they go back to the cave where it is safe. But it was too late. The cave had collapsed and with it created a cloud of forced introspection. They discovered that the world they once knew was gone and only freedom, chaos, and awakening was in front of them. However, just because the outside of Plato's cave is beautiful, as we can see, this is a snippet of what they see in the top right, and you are free, it doesn't always mean that other creatures can't come forth and attack you. And in a way, the ego is right, you are vulnerable to attack, but it's a choice. You can fight, or you can have that part of you die. After having a choice to fight the monster or jump, literally into this new world, they choose to jump. And as they jump, they find themselves among this new environment, mentally and physically. The dad remarks that they are in a lower place, speaking to how he sees the path towards reaching the top of the mountain and leaving the cave a lower form of being. He states that they can no longer come the way they came and that they should begin finding yet another cave. And this is ego speaking. This is fear talking, telling you to go back to the old ways of comfort and wanting to be wrapped up within your fluffy security blanket. When the cave is destroyed, when you leave it, you are presented with the real world, the world beyond the smoke, beyond the shadows, where it is difficult to make out what is real and what is illusion. Everything is clear, but not necessarily easy, and sometimes it scares people. The real world is synonymously a beautiful and terrifying place. There is true evil and pure love in this world, and when you leave the cave, you will run into both. Light just means awareness. In the light, you can see the dark, but that doesn't mean you're exempt from it. They then fight a few more new beasts, so showing us that there is still danger out there. The beasts speak to different problems and different obstacles they have to overcome, akin to, you know, the troll in Harry Potter, the monkeys from the Wizard of Oz. Again, being aware from something doesn't mean that you're safe from it. It just means you can begin learning how to conquer it and use it to your advantage, should you wish to choose to do so. One of these beasts is a flock of red birds that then spiral, into a tornado. We can see this just here. When this happened, Eve then blows a tornado-shaped horn, representing again the beginning of a transformation. It is the coming together of all 7 characters. And as we know in many, many films, once the characters come together, this is when they can achieve their goal, begin achieving their goal. It is the utilization of all the characters to then move to the Yellow Brick Road, fly to Neverland, train to Hogwarts, or in this case, travel to the Road of the Sun. We then see that Guy conjuring up the flame, which then repels the birds. The reason why birds are afraid of the fire is because they're afraid of the light. This is why they come out under the cover of night. They hide in the red grass below. Again, root chakra, connection to hell and symbolic of danger. The birds are one of the most deadly obstacles that they have to face due to the fact that they only come out at night. They come out in the dark because they rely on you being ignorant. In other words, in the dark. The dark is also what the family fears, and so they are forced to face their own ignorance and deepest fear. I'm on slide 17 now. It's got 30 slides. Are you wanting to carry on for like 5 more minutes, or?
Sure, if we could do about maybe 5 more minutes, and then perhaps I don't know if that would finish it, or if we could do a part 2 to finish it off. I think it's great. I just think there's so much to absorb here.
Yeah, we'll cut it now if you want, brother, because it's a nice part in the story if you watch the film. So,
sure,
yeah.
I appreciate that. That's incredible. Well, this is one of all of yours are great, but this is probably one of the best ones that I've seen in terms of the way that you presented it. Like, everything is just incredible. You keep improving every time you come on. So is there anything that you wanted to leave the audience and the members with? Because I think that a lot of people are going to take a lot out of this, because to me it seems like it's the notion of viewing the very similar concepts just in different ways, and that just being able to take, for example, one meaning, one symbol, one word, and have it be interpreted into an infinite amount of different avenues that can go down for philosophical discussion, for one's personal life situation, or whatever it is, I think is truly endless. So is there anything that you wanted to throw in there before we wrap this up?
No, I was literally just going to say what you've said about finding one thing and extrapolating out to everything. And this is one reason why I choose films. One, because, you know, the viewer can sit down and watch the film and they go, aha, this is what this means, blah, blah, blah. And it's just easy.
Yeah.
And also it's easy to understand, like, the metaphors can be clearly and concisely seen.
Right. 100%. Absolutely. And again, it was an incredible presentation. So I want to thank you so much again, Lewis, for coming on. I'm certain that the members will enjoy this as much as I did, and we will catch everybody next time.
Yes.